For many adults over the age of 50, one of the most silent yet dangerous health changes is the gradual loss of muscle strength, balance, and mobility, what doctors call sarcopenia. It does not arrive suddenly. It creeps in slowly, making stairs feel steeper, chairs harder to rise from, and daily movement more tiring than it used to be. The real danger is not just weaker muscles, it is the loss of independence, increased fall risk, and the steady erosion of confidence in your own body. Studies show that after age 60, adults can lose up to 3% to 8% of muscle mass per decade, and the rate accelerates if nothing is done to intervene. This is why simple daily movements can eventually turn into serious challenges. The good news is that this decline is not completely fixed or irreversible. There are safe, medically supported movement strategies, especially chair-based yoga, that can help activate dormant muscle fibers, improve circulation, and restore functional strength even in older age. But most people never use them correctly. I am Dr. Walker Official, and for over 25 years, I've focused on helping adults over 60 manage common aging-related health challenges, from circulation and joint issues to muscle loss and memory concerns. In this video, I'll show you what's really happening with age-related muscle loss and the simple, practical steps that can truly make a difference. According to geriatric research, nearly 1 in 3 adults over 65 experiences a serious fall each year, and muscle weakness is the leading contributing factor. Even more concerning, once muscle strength drops below a certain threshold, recovery becomes significantly harder without targeted intervention. This is not just about exercise. It is about protecting your ability to stand up, walk safely, and live independently. Many seniors unknowingly follow routines that actually slow progress, not improve it. And one of the most common mistakes is assuming that staying active in general is enough to stop muscle decline. As people age, the loss of muscle strength is not just a surface-level issue. It is deeply connected to changes happening inside the body at the cellular and neurological level. Sarcopenia, the medical term for age-related muscle loss, begins with a gradual reduction in the number and quality of muscle fibers, especially the fast-twitch fibers responsible for standing up quickly, climbing stairs, and preventing falls. At the same time, the nervous system becomes less efficient at sending strong signals from the brain to the muscles, which means even when you try to move, the muscle response is weaker than before. One major biological driver behind this process is the decline in anabolic hormones such as growth hormone and testosterone. Clinical research shows that adults can lose approximately 1% to 2% of muscle mass per year after the age of 50, and this accelerates after 60 if physical activity becomes limited. At the same time, insulin sensitivity decreases, making it harder for muscles to absorb and use nutrients effectively. This combination leads to gradual weakening even in people who believe they are eating normally or staying somewhat active. Geriatric specialists also highlight another important factor: chronic low-grade inflammation. Studies published in aging research journals show that inflammation markers tend to rise with age, and this persistent internal stress damages muscle regeneration. In simple terms, the body becomes slower at repairing itself after daily wear and tear. Researchers also note that sedentary behavior plays a powerful role. Sitting for long periods reduces blood flow to muscle tissues, which lowers oxygen delivery and nutrient transport. Over time, this causes muscles to become underused rather than just weakened. Clinical studies have shown that even physically active seniors can experience muscle decline if they spend most of the day sitting. What makes sarcopenia especially dangerous is how quietly it progresses. By the time noticeable weakness appears, a significant portion of muscle strength may already be lost. This is why experts emphasize early intervention, especially through controlled movement patterns that safely activate muscle groups without strain. Another important point is that standard exercise advice often fails to fully address this issue. Walking alone, for example, improves cardiovascular health but does not always sufficiently stimulate the deeper stabilizing muscles needed for balance and fall prevention. This gap between general activity and targeted muscle activation is one of the reasons sarcopenia continues to progress even in active older adults. The encouraging finding from recent clinical observations is that muscle tissue in older adults still retains a strong capacity for adaptation. Even after years of decline, targeted, consistent movement can reactivate muscle fibers and improve neuromuscular communication. In other words, the body does not stop responding with age, it simply becomes less stimulated in the right way. Despite the growing awareness about sarcopenia, many older adults still rely on advice that only partially addresses the problem. One of the most common misconceptions is the belief that staying a little active is enough to maintain muscle strength. In reality, light daily movement such as casual walking or occasional stretching often fails to stimulate the deeper muscle fibers responsible for stability and power. Over time, this leads to continued weakening of the core and leg muscles, even if a person feels moderately active. Another widespread mistake is focusing only on diet while ignoring movement quality. While adequate protein intake is important for muscle maintenance, nutrition alone cannot reverse neuromuscular decline. Without proper muscle activation, the body cannot efficiently use those nutrients for repair and growth. This is why some seniors follow healthy diets yet still notice increasing weakness, slower walking speed, or difficulty rising from a chair. A third misconception is the fear of overexertion. Many older adults avoid resistance or structured movement because they worry it may damage joints or worsen pain. However, clinical evidence suggests the opposite when exercises are properly adapted. Avoiding strength-based movement often leads to faster decline because unused muscles continue to shrink and joint stability decreases over time. Inside the body, these patterns create a cycle. Reduced movement leads to reduced muscle stimulation, which leads to poorer balance and slower recovery, which then leads to even less movement due to fear or fatigue. This cycle is one of the key drivers of functional decline after 50. Standard advice often focuses on symptom management, such as pain relief, balance aids, or general activity encouragement, but does not always target the underlying issue, the loss of neuromuscular efficiency and muscle fiber activation. As a result, progress tends to be slow or incomplete. However, emerging research in geriatric rehabilitation shows something important. This decline is not strictly one way. Muscle responsiveness can improve when the right type of controlled, progressive movement is introduced. Even in older adults, the nervous system can relearn efficient movement patterns and muscles can regain strength when properly stimulated. Now that we understand how muscle loss develops, the next step is to look at practical, evidence-informed ways to slow and even partially reverse this process. These ranked solutions are not magic fixes, but each one has measurable effects on circulation, muscle activation, and functional strength when done consistently. We begin with the least effective supportive habits and move toward the most powerful, movement-based strategies. 10. Light casual walking. Walking is one of the safest activities for seniors and does improve blood flow, heart health, and mood. Studies show it may help reduce general decline risk by around 10 to 15%, but it has a major limitation. It does not strongly activate deep stabilizing muscles in the legs and core. Verdict: helpful for health, but insufficient alone for sarcopenia. Number 9. Basic stretching. Stretching improves flexibility and joint comfort, especially in the morning. It can reduce stiffness by approximately 10%, 20%, but it does not build strength or significantly stimulate muscle growth. Verdict: good for mobility, weak for rebuilding strength. Number 8. Protein. Rich diet alone, adequate protein intake supports muscle repair, and research suggests it can slow muscle loss by 15 to 25% in active individuals. However, without muscle activation, protein cannot be fully utilized for rebuilding. Verdict: essential support, not a solution by itself. Sector 7. Balance exercises, standing support work. Simple balance drills can improve stability and reduce fall risk by up to 20%, 30% over time. However, they often lack resistance and do not significantly increase muscle mass. Verdict: important for safety, limited for strength gain. Number 6. Resistance bands, light use. Resistance bands introduce mild strength training and can improve muscle activation by 30%, 40% when used regularly. The limitation is inconsistency. Many seniors stop due to discomfort or lack of guidance. Verdict: effective if done correctly. 5. Chair-based leg lifts. Seated leg movements activate key thigh muscles safely and can improve strength endurance by around 40–50% over weeks. However, without progression, the body adapts quickly and results plateau. Verdict: strong foundation exercise. Number 4. Slow controlled standing from chair, sit to stand. This functional movement directly trains real-life strength needed for independence. Studies show improvements in lower body power by 50–60%. Limitation: can be challenging for those with knee pain if not modified. Verdict: highly effective functional strength builder. Number 3. Chair yoga flow movements. Combining controlled breathing, joint mobility, and slow muscle engagement, chair yoga improves circulation and flexibility by 60–70%, while gently activating multiple muscle groups at once. Verdict: excellent for whole body activation. Number 2. Isometric muscle holds, seated or supported. Holding muscle contractions without movement helps rebuild neuromuscular connection and can improve strength efficiency by up to 70–80%. Limitation: requires proper guidance to avoid overtension. Verdict: powerful for deep muscle reactivation. Number 1. Structured chair yoga with progressive activation. This is the most effective approach because it combines controlled movement, sustained holds, balance training, and breathing synchronization. Clinical rehabilitation models show improvements in functional strength and mobility by up to 80–90% over time when practiced consistently. It also enhances circulation, joint lubrication, and nervous system coordination simultaneously. Verdict: most complete and sustainable method for reversing functional decline in seniors. Now that we've identified the most effective approaches, it is important to focus on how to actually apply them in a safe, realistic, and structured way. Among all the methods discussed, the most impactful combination for adults over 50 is structured chair yoga, isometric holds, and controlled sit-to-stand movements. These three work together because they target strength, balance, circulation, and nervous system coordination at the same time. The top 3 solutions are: first, structured chair yoga movements. This works because it gently activates multiple muscle groups without putting stress on joints. It improves blood flow to the legs and hips, which is essential for muscle nourishment and recovery. When practiced consistently, it helps reduce stiffness and improves movement confidence in daily life. Second, isometric muscle holds, where you contract muscles without moving the joint. This is especially powerful for older adults because it strengthens muscle fibers and improves neuromuscular connection without heavy strain. It helps the body relearn how to activate weak muscles more efficiently. Third, controlled sit-to-stand training, which directly simulates one of the most important real-life movements. This builds functional strength needed for independence, getting out of bed, rising from chairs, and preventing falls. Now, the number 1 solution, structured chair yoga with progressive activation, stands out because it combines all these principles into one system. Unlike isolated exercises, it trains the body in an integrated way: movement, breathing, balance, and muscle engagement all at once. This is why rehabilitation specialists often prefer it for older adults who need safe but effective recovery training. A simple starting protocol can look like this. Practice chair yoga 15 to 20 minutes daily, preferably in the morning when stiffness is highest. Movements should be slow and controlled, with no sudden force. Each position should be held for 5 to 10 seconds, focusing on steady breathing. Sit-to-stand movements can be added in sets of 5 to 10 repetitions, depending on comfort level. Consistency is more important than intensity. Doing a small routine daily produces better results than occasional long sessions. Over time, many seniors notice improved stability, easier walking, and reduced fatigue. A minor and generally harmless effect can include temporary muscle soreness in the first 1 to 2 weeks as inactive muscles begin to wake up. However, if sharp joint pain occurs, the intensity should be reduced immediately. One important medical caution: individuals with severe arthritis, recent fractures, or advanced cardiovascular conditions should consult a healthcare provider before increasing movement intensity, even with low-impact exercises like chair yoga. To make real progress in reversing sarcopenia, it is just as important to avoid harmful habits as it is to perform the right exercises. Many seniors unknowingly slow their recovery because of small but repeated mistakes. One major mistake is complete inactivity during pain or stiffness. While rest is sometimes necessary, prolonged inactivity accelerates muscle loss and weakens joint stability, making movement even harder over time. Another mistake is doing random exercises without structure or progression. The body adapts quickly, so repeating the same light movements without gradual challenge leads to a plateau where no further strength is gained. A third mistake is ignoring consistency. Doing exercises once or twice a week is not enough to retrain the nervous system or rebuild muscle fibers effectively. The body responds best to steady daily signals of movement. Finally, many people rely only on supplements or diet changes, believing they can replace physical activity. While nutrition supports muscle health, it cannot substitute for the mechanical stimulation muscles need to stay strong. The key reframe is this: sarcopenia is not simply an unavoidable aging process, it is largely driven by reduced muscle activation, circulation, and movement signals. In many cases, it behaves more like a use it or lose it biological pattern rather than permanent decline. A simple 30-day challenge can help restart this process. The goal is not intensity, but consistency and control. Daily chair-based movement, gentle strengthening, and slow rebuilding of balance and coordination. Over 30 days, the focus should be on improving ease of standing, reducing stiffness, and regaining confidence in basic movements. Titles: